There are new developments in the scandal involving movie mogul Harvey Weinstein. More women coming forward, and new video of Weinstein emerging tonight. These are the faces of some of the women who have now spoken out to accuse him of misconduct over a period of decades.
Hello, I'm Paul Barry. Welcome to Media Watch. And after 3 decades of silence and cover-up, a Hollywood titan has found his dirty past catching up with him. Harvey Weinstein could now face criminal charges amid accusations of rape as more and more women speak up about his abuse.
He said he would help me. He wanted to help me.
I thought, wow, he's going to be a mentor for me.
And I said, you know, I will go up and meet with you in your office, but you are not allowed to touch me. And he said, ah, ha, ha. He kind of laughed it off.
So how did he get away with it? And why was he never exposed by the industry or the media until the New York Times and New Yorker finally brought him down? Well, back here in Australia, News Corp columnist Miranda Devine had the answer.
Weinstein represents all that's wrong with the left.
Yes, Devine reckoned bizarrely it was Weinstein's left-wing politics that had kept him off the hook, including his friendship with Hillary Clinton and President Obama and his donations to the Democrats. But Devine's explanation on 2GB was even wackier than that.
The left has a massive protection racket going, and you can see it works in Australia as well. It's not just Hollywood.
So, nothing to do with Weinstein's money and power or his ability to make and break female stars. No. Devine reckoned it was, and is, far more sinister.
If you bow to the altar of their sort of grab bag of causes, the sort of identity politics causes, the LGBTIQ and racism and feminism and open borders, abortion and feminism, climate change, how can you forget that?
Feminism, climate change, yes.
Being anti-Christian, all that stuff. You do all of that, then you can get away with blue murder and you buy yourself protection.
Yes, Miranda reckons powerful figures like Weinstein earn a free pass from the media and immunity for their crimes by buying into causes like same-sex marriage. Or, as Herald Sun commentator Rita Panahi put it to Andrew Bolt,
it seems in Hollywood, if you virtue signal on all the fashionable lefty causes, you're given a licence to carry on like an entitled pig.
Oh, really? Is that so? And what about those other famous sex pests who also got away with it for ages? Fox News' right-wing warrior, Bill O'Reilly, was recently dismissed for sexual harassment after years of cover-up and payoffs by his employer. And last year, a far more shocking and powerful serial abuser was also taken down.
A big shake-up in television news and a media and political bombshell as Roger Ailes is ousted as the head of Fox News.
Yep, Roger Ailes was a right-wing Republican kingmaker who made billions for Rupert Murdoch's media empire, which employs Devine and Panahi. So, did these two columnists claim the right had protected Ailes? Did they chide News Corp for ignoring his accusers? Indeed, did they write anything at all? Answer, no, no and no. They just stayed silent. And in the light of their comments about Weinstein, what can you say about that?
The hypocrisy is what really gets me.
Thanks, Rita. Nailed it in one. But now, let's come back home to the world of commercial radio and a big row that has been raging across the airwaves.
One of the nation's top radio broadcasters claims he's being censored to protect a major advertiser. 2GB's Ray Hadley claims his comments about a truck driver in Orange are in the public interest. But now Southern Cross Austereo says it will ban him on all stations.
Ban Ray Hadley? Who would dare? But that's what Southern Cross did last week, as Triple M's regional stations in New South Wales and Queensland, which take Ray's morning show, decided they had had enough of what was coming out of his mouth.
Now, the Southern Cross Network are with me at the moment, I'm told, but you mightn't be too much longer, because someone's got their finger on a button.
That's the dump button, and Southern Cross was not afraid to press it.
This suggestion that I can't say what I'm about to say because of legalities is nonsense. Southern Cross...
So what is the battle all about? Well, as Channel 7 reported...
Ray Hadley's been commenting on the 24-year-old driver in this crash in March near Orange, charged with dangerous and negligent driving occasioning death, and that he got his suspended licence back. But Triple M Central West has been cutting out when he talks about the case.
Anyone who listens to Hadley would know he's red hot on police and courts. And he's running more local stories now his show's being networked. So, when he was told by one of his Orange listeners that a local magistrate had given the accused truck driver his licence back, Ray asked,
"How can that be bloody justice? If there's a court system anywhere in the world that allows this to happen, it's bad justice."
Fair question, but Ray did a lot more than ask it. He named the driver, which we're not going to do, and detailed his previous driving record, which we won't do either. He also called him an alleged lunatic and stated,
"Well, I'll deal with the bloody facts of the matter. He's killed a 72-year-old through his actions on the road. And all of a sudden, he's back on the road because the licence appeal has been allowed."
But as Ray raged on about the case, the lawyer for the accused was listening in his car and was not impressed. As he told Media Watch,
"You've got a young man facing a very serious charge who ultimately might end up before a jury who's just been besmirched before the matter has even come before a court. I just find it extraordinary."
And Southern Cross agreed with him, telling the media in a statement that Ray's rant was potentially in breach of Australian contempt of court and defamation laws. So, why do we have those laws? Well, as Southern Cross explained,
to ensure that the accused has a fair trial and that witnesses and jurors do not come to the trial with a preconceived notion about guilt or innocence.
But Ray was having none of that and told his listeners,
"It has nothing to do with legalities. It's about protecting a sponsor, and it's a damn disgrace."
The sponsor he had in mind was West Orange Motors, which is a big advertiser on Triple M and just happens to employ the accused truck driver. And Ray reckoned he was being silenced to keep them sweet. So it was on for young and old.
"I won't tolerate this sort of nonsense. We don't live in North Korea. I don't like being stood over by radio station management in provincial stations. Don't try and censor me."
But after days of Ray baiting Triple M to dump his show and yelling censorship every time they did, something had to give. After all, the two networks are in a commercial partnership. And last Friday, peace broke out.
"For the time being, there'll be no more chapters on the program on the Orange Story."
And Triple M broadcast this message for anyone left listening.
Triple M's decision not to broadcast parts of the program was based solely on legal advice and was not influenced by any commercial considerations, including the fact that West Orange Motors has a commercial relationship with Triple M.
Amazing stuff. But you can expect more such dust-ups as newly networked shows like Hadley's give regional stories the shock jock treatment. But now to Adelaide, where reporters have been caught up in a fascinating criminal case that focuses on the relationship between journalists and the police.
A South Australia Police major crime detective has gone on trial, accused of leaking sensitive information to the media, which prosecutors allege put several high-profile investigations at risk.
Sounds interesting. Investigations put at risk. And over on 10, we heard a bit more about it.
A South Australian police detective allegedly shared confidential information with two journalists because he was flattered by the attention.
So, who are the two journalists who received those allegedly illegal hot tips? Surely worth knowing, given that Peter Martin is charged with abusing his public office and pleading not guilty. But Channel 9 merely told us
the allegations do not involve Channel 9.
While Channels 7 and 10 also omitted to name them in their coverage, as did Adelaide's daily paper, The Advertiser. Funny, eh? In fact, the only outlet that dared name names during the trial was the ABC, which revealed
the detective is alleged to have leaked sensitive information in 2012 to Channel 7 reporter Michelle Vella and News Corp Australia reporter Nigel Hunt.
7's Michelle Vella and The Advertiser's Nigel Hunt are two of South Australia's top crime journalists, with dozens of awards between them, which is perhaps why Channel 7 failed to mention its reporter's starring role, and why The Advertiser did the same, burying its only story on the month-long trial on page 24. So, why are they being so coy? Well, on 29th of August 2012, Detective Martin called a junior police officer investigating the death of a man killed by a train in Tailem Bend. Minutes later, he called 7's Michelle Vella. As the prosecutor told the court,
the same evening, within a couple of hours, Channel 7 News leads with what is referred to as a stunning development in the case. You'll see Miss Vella reporting that Channel 7 had learned that detectives are treating the death as a possible murder.
It was a great scoop for 7. But, as the court heard, there was one small problem.
Unfortunately, this was an occasion when that suggestion of murder turned out to be completely wrong.
Whoops! And it wasn't the only time Vella got a bum steer. After a body was found at the bottom of a cliff, Detective Martin texted Vella to say,
"The bloke at Seacliff that fell off the cliff is a rebel and was pushed."
That tip was also wrong, even though it was sealed with a kiss.
No, I believe that's incorrect.
So maybe that explains some of Seven's embarrassment. But as for the advertiser, it may be more about the style in which the hot tips were harvested. Because while Detective Martin was giving information to Vella, the court heard that the advertiser's Nigel Hunt was treating the detectives to a slap-up feed at the Ti Chow Chinese restaurant.
Over the course of lunch, the three men consumed 5 bottles of red wine between them, all paid for by Mr. Hunt.
5 bottles of wine. So, why would a journalist pay nearly $300 for a liquid lunch with a major crimes investigator? Well, the prosecution claimed to the court,
Detective Martin was a goldmine to Miss Vella and Mr. Hunt because the information, especially exclusive inside information, is, of course, the lifeblood of a journalist.
Now, it's obviously a reporter's job to prize out information for the public, and the 2 journalists here are certainly not on trial. But it's arguable that plying an informant with drink is going too far, and Superintendent John DeCandia, former head of the crime gangs task force, told the court that loose lips can damage investigations and endanger witnesses.
If information does get released that is incorrect, or if too much information gets released, that could indicate to the offenders, other gang members, that a victim or a witness has spoken to police, which could place them at further risk of harm.
Detective Martin's defence team denies he broke the law and argues that his conversations with the journalist did not harm police investigations. But the question for us is this. Having published all those alleged leaks in 2012, why is the media now saying so little? And why have reporters Vella and Hunt not been named? Surely the public has a right to know how chummy the police and media can become. Seven and the advertiser told Media Watch they did name their journalists back in 2013 and 14 when charges were laid, and they will report on the case again when it concludes. Seven also added,
"At no time has there been any attempt by Seven to conceal the involvement of Michelle Vella or Seven."
That may be so, but nor has Seven examined or reported on that involvement. And the same is true of Nigel Hunt and the advertiser, which 2 months ago wrote a rousing editorial titled "Time to End Our Addiction to Secrecy," complaining,
"For too long, one of the great fallacies of our justice system has been the idea judges can somehow stop members of the public from learning about and discussing court cases."
Except in this case, it's not the justice system doing it. It is the media, apparently to protect 2 of their own and the profession from embarrassment. But now to the Sunshine State, where an Asian gang is on the loose, robbing people at gunpoint on the streets. As the Daily Mail told us last week,
horrifying moment, gang of Asian teenagers rob man of his phone and wallet at gunpoint before fleeing on a motorbike.
And where did the hold-up take place? Yep, in Queensland, outside
an Ipswich home on Limestone Street.
That's Pauline Hanson's old stamping ground. But take a look for yourself, because the robbery was caught on video, which is how this story got a run. And the Mail was adamant it shows the unsuspecting victim leaving his Ipswich home. But did anyone at the Mail actually watch it? Unmade road, gated properties, casual use of the gun, no crash helmets, and a distinctly Asian fashion style. And if you check out Limestone Street, you'll find it looks like this, according to Google Maps. Yep, the Mail's gang robbery is actually in Pakistan. So how did they get it so wrong? Well, aside from ignoring all the clues, they bought the video through an agency called Newsflare, where it was labelled
Limestone Street, Ipswich.
Only here it is again on Newsflare from the very same user with a very different description.
A group of teenagers has been caught on camera robbing 6 people in Gulistani Johar, Karachi, Pakistan.
Oh dear. So why 2 different locations? The answer is money. Newsflare gets videos from the public and sells them to the media, and it makes sense for sellers to tag their videos with multiple locations to maximise their appeal. Most of Newsflare's 300 buyers, including the BBC and Sky News, doubtless make proper checks. But the Daily Mail clearly doesn't, at least where Asian gangs are involved. Luckily, not all its readers are so stupid.
Very poor reporting. No way is this in Ipswich, or Australia for that matter.
And that story is still up on the Daily Mail's website. Hello? Is anybody home? And you can read more about tonight's stories on our Facebook page or our website, where you can see statements from Channel 7 and The Advertiser. And make sure not to miss Media Bites every Thursday. But for now, until next week, that's it from us. Goodbye.